peek it.
Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Indie Tuesdays on NCR. I'm your host, Benjamin Dupé. Joining me on the panel today is NCR's Red Lantern, Mr. Dex Star Jacobs.
Woo, meow.
Yeah. Our in-house gaming expert, Bro Mondo Burnside.
Yes.
That's
a new one.
That's a good one.
And the main man of illustration and graphic design, Andrew Southern, or as I like to call him, Ace.
That's it. Yeah.
And
That's
we
a
are
new one
your,
dropping on you guys.
Yeah, buddy.
and we
Do
are
people
your
call you Ace?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
all my friends from back
Oh,
home.
okay, sorry.
But I always feel weird introducing myself as Ace because people are like, is that like your real name? I'm like, no, and then I have to like explain
It's
myself.
just something I made up for myself. Yeah,
I gave myself a nickname. I'm that cool.
so we are
You should
your
call me Nightwing.
oh man. We are your smooth-talking comic book overlords today. It's been a totally intense and crime-filled week in Image Comics. This week we're taking a trip down memory lane way back to 1971 where we're watching crime drama unfold in Violent Love number 2. We're also watching some wild and crazy street racing action go down in Motor Crush number 1. Where like a pink drug can make you faster than any other weird and cleverly nicknamed street racer on the streets. I don't know. So yeah, join us as we talk about this and more this week on NCR Indie Tuesdays. All right, so before we get to book reviews and all that stuff, I do want to let everyone know that if they want to reach out to us, they can do so by contacting us at nerdchurchradio@gmail.com or by visiting our website at www.nerdchurchradio.com. And on that website, we have our written reviews, old podcast episodes, previews to comics we love, and a survey that you can take to let us know how we're doing. So also, we here at NCR are a certain type of podcast. Ramondo, what kind of podcast are we?
We are spoiler podcast.
We are a spoiler podcast, and we will be spoiling the 2 image books that we're talking about this week. So if you haven't read them yet, either press pause and go read them, or if you don't mind them being spoiled, whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So also, we do have a rating system here at NCR where we like to rate the comic books that we talk about. Gideon, why don't you tell the listeners about the rating system we have for our comic books?
If a comic book is bad, we rate it as blasphemy. If the book is good, we give our blessing. If the book is not bad, not good, but just kind of meh, we rate it as stuck in purgatory. If the book is great, we rate it as holy. And if a comic book exceeds all standards of awesomeness, we rate that book as salvation.
All right, thank you for that, Gideon. So what did you guys think of books this week?
I enjoyed them.
Yeah.
Nah.
Good. We got some good talking points then.
That's Dexter being all negative. If anyone didn't.
Hey, someone's got to do it.
No, I'm just joking. Yeah, no, I hear you. On
They're
certain
epic
points.
Star Wars westerns. Apparently that's all I like.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what you like, man.
No,
Yeah.
No, it's not wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Moto Crush, like I'm not a huge racing guy, so it's hard for me to get sucked into that type of story because I kind of felt like I'm watching Gone in 60 Seconds or something, like, and it's like, like I'm entertained and everything, but it's not like it's hard to get to like super drawn into something like that.
Yeah, I hear you. It was definitely difficult for me to get into that type of story.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I feel like once I did get into it, it was so funky and weird that it kind of got me.
And
That's how
and
I
that's
feel
the thing.
about it.
It wasn't just like straight up. It was almost like almost like a sci-fi twist on it or something, like with these like floating like camera things,
Well,
like,
the racer with the Muppet head, like that type of stuff. Like it's just so
Yeah,
cartoony
like
and
fun,
so-
yeah.
yeah.
Twisted Metal meets Need for Speed.
dude,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah,
Road
yeah, a little
Rash. Do you
bit.
guys remember Road Rash?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
kept thinking
Road-
of.
It's called
They need to remake
Road Rash,
that.
not Road Rage.
Road Rash.
I think it's Road Rash,
Yeah,
right?
when you're like driving on the street, you're
Mondo,
punching guys
yeah.
on motorcycles
Yeah.
and stuff. Like,
Oh,
they fall off like,
yeah.
they fall off the bikes.
You could whip them and kick. I remember that
get
was like the
chains,
first game.
sticks and stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
Like
man.
my uncle had that game, and I was probably like 12 at the time or something. But I remember just like being
Sega
at his house and
Genesis.
being like, "Dude, that's so cool."
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
you get money at the end of the race. Oh,
Yeah.
Get better bikes.
Wow. Yeah, I think I'm thinking of something different. This was Sega Genesis that you played this
Oh,
on?
I was thinking PC. I know there's a PC
It was
game
it was
too.
a Genesis version too. Yeah.
Okay.
Road Rash.
Yeah,
So
something.
good.
Yeah, man.
So what did you think of the books, Mondo?
I enjoyed them for the most part. I agree with you guys on getting into the Motor Crush.
Yeah.
It took a little bit to kind of get into it. I felt like I was reading like someone trying to adapt like a movie into a comic or something like that. Like I could see it being a movie or something like that.
Yeah, I could too, actually. Like
yeah.
a live action movie, even.
In the back of my mind, I kept trying to picture who would play her dad or who would play you know, her and kind of that kind of thing. But once I did get into it, it was entertaining enough. It wasn't like my favorite book or anything, but yeah, I can see it being cool down the road.
Yeah, I think now that we've gotten into this podcast a little bit and we're all reading well, I know Dexter, you were reading comics a lot to begin with, but you two probably weren't reading as often.
Not as often, yeah.
You know, at first it's kind of like, you know, you got wide-eyed, you know, like everything seems a lot cooler,
Yeah.
and then like once you get into it a little more and you get exposed to some really cool stuff, it's like
That's
kinda harder.
that's 100, because you know, like when you're just casually reading comics, you're just reading what you think you're going to be interested in. Whereas like for the podcast, you cover everything, man. Like a book you wouldn't necessarily pick up, you're gonna look at. So it's definitely brought more perspective on even the books that I enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's a good thing too, because like, you know, you can't give everything a good rating, and it's nice to have a little perspective on that.
You start getting a wider spectrum, so stuff starts to fall way on one end, way on the other, and some stuff falls in the middle. So
Dude, it's really helped me like creativity. How do I say it? Creatively. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's helped me that way. Just expand my thinking.
Yeah, same here, man. Like, I'm glad that you joined the podcast, Ace, because like I don't know, like I was reading a lot of comics, but then like you draw a lot, and we're sort of working on some on the side.
Dude, we have so
right
much
now.
in common. It's crazy.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
It's really crazy.
Ever since then, like I stopped drawing and I started the podcast and I started reading comics I read like 20 or 30 a week now, and and then I started drawing again, and it's like, man, all that heavy reading that I've been doing has really helped my like characterizations and stuff.
Totally.
It's like really cool.
It's cool. So, I mean, a lot of the classes that I took in school too had to deal with characterization, acting, and even one of my teachers said he wanted to ruin movies for me, and so we talked a lot about just shot breakdown and camera selection and what people are saying without saying anything. It's almost like how you hold yourself, you know, like your body positioning says something. Like, you know, same thing with like low camera angle or high camera angle or behind the shoulder. Like everything says something even if you don't realize it. So like when you actively think about that and really start to look at like the choices they made creatively. Thank you. I need to practice that one. You know, it's just another thing to break down and kind of appreciate and learn from.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that I've struggled with, like illustrating, is just camera positioning and understanding that. And this, I think, helps out a lot.
Like choosing, so you're talking about like choosing how you want to, show.
Yeah, because even
your character in the comic.
If you look at a lot of beginning artists or first type of comic artists, you'll see that some of the dialogue is just two talking heads. You know, like they're just opposite each other. Whereas if you notice here, you know, there's a lot of different ways to show a group of people talking. It's not just like head on head. You know, you're looking at somebody from behind. You know.
Well, yeah, and we actually, before I started the podcast or after, somewhere around there, my wife and I actually made a short film. And so it was like a horror film that would I think it was like a 6-minute horror film, but it took us like 2 weekends to do. But thinking about that shot composition stuff, man, that helps your comic art.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's a good maybe book to skim about that. Might be I think it's Making Comics the Marvel Way.
Oh yeah,
because I know
that
the Marvel method is really big on goofy camera angles. Like never draw like a straight shot. Always have an angle if you can.
Well, and that's the thing, man. I feel like the difference between like a decent artist and somebody who's like professionally working is that, you know, because you can somebody can show a character just like standing there. And it's like, okay, that's cool, that's well drawn, but then you show it from like some cool angle or showing an extreme pose or doing something cool, and it just brings like, it's like that 10% element, you know what I mean? That just pushes it to that next level. So
yeah, really finding creative ways to visually tell a story. I mean, like, man, this week, Batman I Am Suicide, it was just, actually, hold on.
Pushing a timeout here. A Bangcast comic.
I saw the cover for that. It looked crazy.
What is it?
Yeah, so this
Like
comic
he's fallen
has
into madness or
barely any lines of dialogue in it. It's a story that's told. There's a narrative of like a letter he's writing that tells the story, but it's told like 80% just visually. And it's a lot of cool camera angles. The art in this book is just astounding.
Who's doing this?
I forget the artist on that.
King. Okay, I can't pronounce any of those names. So.
Yeah.
The King, Janin, Petrus.
Janin,
Chong?
yeah. Janine or Janin. Yeah.
Janine?
Yeah. Just not to go on to DC Comics on this cast, but like that kind of pertains to what we're talking about, where like he's just telling a story visually. Like that shot right there where no, the one you were that one.
Yeah, dude, that's wicked.
Yeah, I mean it's just an.
I wish we could show people this on the podcast.
It.
I don't even know how to. It's like a base, like in the side of a mountain.
Yeah, it's like the jail that he's kind of.
Yeah.
Is there a review on the website?
Yeah, there is a review on the website, and then we did talk about it on the DC Comics podcast.
But do you have the images on the website then with the review?
Yep, we do.
So
okay, cool.
I can check that out.
Yeah.
You always go to the cool
man, and
blog.
If you ever
nerdchurchradio.com, check it out.
I know it's kind of
like a castle almost or something.
Yeah, it's like up in the mountains or something.
It's Bane's prison actually that he like is running, and Batman's like breaking into it or whatever. So yeah,
and man, so that's the thing. Like,
I definitely want to check that book out. It looks good. I saw you posted on Twitter, and so
I got lost in the artwork. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just an amazing artwork book, and the part that I love the most about it is like, and the part that I love about comic book art in general is the ability to tell a story without words.
I remember it. Now I remember what I was saying. So like, there's kind of like a dialogue back and forth between the artist versus writer thing on Twitter. I don't know if you guys ever follow any of that garbage. It's kind of
we've
stupid.
Talked about it on the show. Like, art, we've just talked about like which one's more important, art or story, and we've concluded that they're both equally important. But.
Yeah, I would say so too. But it's just interesting how much you can actually say. And that's one thing that I've learned as I've started illustrating more in comics. It's like I can say more than, you start thinking about like when you first start, you're thinking about anatomy and like how to draw something. And then as you proceed, you think about like, what do I want to say? Because you can say way more with a character like in that shot. It was Batman breaking into Bane's, castle thing. Like you say more by showing him like, you can barely see Batman, but the whole thing that he's breaking into is such a cool thing that they're saying that like it doesn't matter it doesn't matter that Batman's like the size of a penny. You know what I mean? Because as an illustrator, that's like the glory. You want to illustrate like Batman doing something really cool, but you know, like that scene is. You're saying something greater than that. So.
Yeah. We got into a really good discussion, but that's a really great book. I gave it a high holy, almost a salvation, man. It's really fun. So, speaking of like telling stories visually and stuff like that, there is a book, one of the books that we got into this week was Violent Love #2. And it's, I feel like they did a really good job of visual storytelling on this one. I don't really dig a lot of the characterizations and stuff. I don't know. I'll go into it here in a second, but here I'll kind of give you a short recap of what happened in this show, or in this issue. So story is by Frank J. Barbier and arts by Victor Santos. The story picks up in New Mexico, 1971, where this crazy old man who likes to give coffee to kids is telling a story about Daisy. And she's like the protagonist of the story. Also, the coffee's decaf, so no big deal, I guess. Kids like that's rude.
I remember reading that.
Yeah. But anyway, if you're just tuning in, Daisy's a girl who was shot in the stomach and then watched her father burned alive at the end of the last issue. So there's definitely some like hard knocks happening in her life. At the beginning of the issue, we see Daisy robbing a bank with what I assumed was her boyfriend, but it turns out it's just like a side squeeze for her or something. I don't know. So it turns out that after Johnny Nails killed Daisy's dad and shot her in the stomach, she swore an oath to get revenge on him. Speaking of Batman. So Daisy has set up a meeting through her side squeeze, who's named Casanova, to find out where Johnny Nails is hiding out. It turns out Nails is hiding at a highly fortified spot with his shady gangster pals. Daisy and Casanova agree to take the whole revenge thing slow and go home and get some sleep. Like, we're going to need some backup for this. But, I mean, did you really think Daisy was actually going to take this slow? No. Come on, son. The guy burned her father alive in front of her. So, and Daisy's just like, she's a total firecracker. So she decides to leave Casanova in the middle of the night and go after Johnny Nails all by her lonesome. So Daisy finds Johnny Nails' hideout and through some sweet talk and seductive deception, finds her way into the house. And at the end of the issue, she walks into her room with a bunch of shady-looking dudes, and like one guy's like, "Hey, who ordered delivery?" And then it's like, "To be continued in part 3." And it's like, wow, did this issue just end? Because like it went by quick. I felt like
it was definitely a quick read.
It was fast.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be over right there.
Yeah,
I don't know. What did you guys think of this story?
Compared to the first issue, I mean, I thought it did a good job of just pushing things forward.
Yeah,
it gave you a good idea of what kind of person she is. She's hell bent on revenge. I mean, they make it very clear she's using whoever she has to use to get to her goal.
Yeah,
and she's gonna do that, and she did that with him. And I mean, even when they show the scenes where he's calling her like his main squeeze, or like come on, babe, we got to do A, B, and C. And this look of the panel on her face and her eyes, she's like whatever, just using you. You're okay and all, but I have bigger plans and at play here.
Right.
And she won't tell him anything as well. He's probed her several times throughout just this issue, trying to get her to tell more about herself or what's going on. He even pointed out her scar on her stomach, and he's like, "Oh, what's that all about? What happened there?" And she just won't really go into it. She doesn't say anything. She just kind of just bypasses it altogether.
Yeah, they're definitely doing a great job on the characterization of Daisy. They haven't really gone into any other characters with us and explored them very deeply, and I feel like that's going to pay off eventually, because like we really are getting a sense of who this character is. She's a firecracker, she's impulsive, she likes to go off and she does things her own way, and like you're telling all this stuff to us about her, and eventually that's going to give you a really good idea of like how she's going to act in certain situations and stuff. I like the old man telling the story to the kid, and that's kind of the framing device for this narrative. I just feel like I wish it would cut in and out a little more, to really frame the story up, maybe have one bit where it cuts back to him at the end of the issue or in the beginning, where it's like it's framing up the story a little more.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, that's a minor gripe.
I'd agree with that, though. I mean, if they would bring it in a little more, Dex.
I mean, is he narrating it, though? Like, because at points there's clearly a narrator going, like, just talking, like, describing who Rock Bradley is at one point. Yeah. So, like, it's kind of the old man popping in and out. They're just not drawing him necessarily.
And I wish they would, though, is the thing.
But okay.
Yeah, so there are parts where he sort of is talking throughout that. I wish they would actually, in the middle of the book, just draw a page of him telling the story to the little girl, so that it lets you know that narrative is still happening in that fashion.
Okay.
And I don't know, just gives you more sensibility.
You want Princess Bride.
That's exactly what I was
thinking.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what they're going for.
You want Columbo to tell you this story.
Yeah, I do. Tell me a story.
Columbo.
Yeah. So,
it's a deep dive.
Yeah.
That's a dig right there. Columbo.
What did y'all think about the artwork in this one?
I loved the artwork in this. I mean, and generally just the design of the whole book, which I noticed that they even give a design credit to Dylan Todd, which is kind of interesting.
I love the title treatment.
Yeah, a little Saul Bass. Yeah.
Yeah, just the...
Oh, yeah, the type treatment and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it goes well for the timing of, like, when this is supposed to take place. That's when, like, this is like a Saul Bass style. Oh, yeah. That's when he was doing a lot of movie posters.
Each one is a different color, too. The last one was red, wasn't it?
Nice.
Which, okay, quick aside about titles, because there's a song by Newfound Glory called Vicious Love with Hayley Williams, and it's I couldn't stop thinking about it when I heard the title. Yeah,
I've never heard that. The last song I heard by them is, like, My Friend's Over You or something. Yeah, that old
10 years
one.
ago.
Yeah. The guitar thing at the beginning. That was like one of the first things I learned how to play on guitar.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Back in those junior high days.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Pop punk.
Neener.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, the artistic style, I feel like we were talking about pop art last week, and I feel like it's kind of pop.
I can see that.
Roy Lichtenstein-ish, it's very, very pop arty.
It's bright, right?
It's the same time period of just, like, this is, like, the stuff that was style that was going on with, like, movies at the same time that, like, pop art was really hitting the scene.
Yeah. It's good, man. I dig it. It's something that, like, we talked about this on the first issue. It's a very tropey story. It's like it's an old crime story. It's like, true romance or something. And I feel like the art just accentuates that. So I feel like anywhere else, I really wouldn't be into this type of art for a comic, but for this particular thing, for like a period piece, for a time period, it kind of works. So I'm into it.
I gotta give a quick shout out to the colorist. These two books are awesome, man. Like you can see like the low chroma, like low key when she's in. Where is she here? Yeah, when she's like in bed or whatever.
She's creeping around in the dark.
Dude, it's just nice, man. Like the coloring in both of these books were top notch in my opinion. That's not something I usually notice about books. I don't think about color, but they made me think like, wow, that was cool that they did.
And that's awesome when a book can do that. This book is more like, I don't know, I want to say it's more illustrative maybe than your average comic book too. It's not like it's not centralized on like anatomy or anything.
There's
like
some
that.
like really weird faces, like the round faces.
Yeah, they're very very strange.
They're kind of like bulldog looking, you know what I mean?
Well, and on that last page that I think it looked like you were looking at, it's the perspective is really weird and like it doesn't quite
they're just like
make sense
whatever.
The way like people are standing like it almost looks like that guy should be falling down in the bottom corner, but not to like rag on it too much. I mean, because I actually don't mind it in this sense, like for some reason like it fits well into this story and what's been going on with the whole comic.
It reminds me of like a caricature, kind of like how those are drawn, where it's just like a scene of like nonsense or whatever.
Yeah, but it's not as cheesy as a caricature.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
No. So
definitely not.
Yeah.
But I feel like, and I think it's the thing that I didn't really care for in this story is the main character's name's Daisy.
Mm-hmm. Dude,
like she herself is just a bit of a caricature, and I couldn't connect with her at all as like any sort of. I mean, she's not a protagonist, but she's the protagonist of the story, and so I just had a hard time really connecting with her. And I didn't get to read the first book, I guess.
So you would if you read the first book.
Okay. I'm wondering with her though if they're trying to like put the whole like the contrast of her being named Daisy, which is a delicate flower, and she's like the complete opposite.
Yeah. She's a pistol.
She's on fire. You know what I mean?
I need some new names too, like Casanova. This is like the third.
Oh god!
Give me a different name. Anything, man.
Yeah, just not Casanova.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because like the name of like the city, and we'll get there, but in the second book is Nova, and I don't want to hear Nova. And like, wasn't there? What was it?
There's a Marvel character named Nova too.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
In
Guardians of the Galaxy, like the Nova Corps.
Yeah, I just man, they just do a different name. Just make up
you
some letters.
You don't want the Illuminati? You don't want that?
No,
just
none of that.
Just touch on that real quick.
I bet Johnny Nails works for the Illuminati.
Let's get the whiteboard out.
He's behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, Johnny Nails, man. So like last issue, Johnny Nails, he lit Daisy's father on fire in front of her and murdered him. And
prior to that, though, he employed her father to just use his garage as a place to torture people and stuff. And I guess he was doing little odd jobs for him and stuff like that. Yeah. And so it came to the point where he came for him.
Yeah, like her father owns an auto shop, and Johnny Nails was like, let me use your auto shop to torture people in there, and he would sit people down and pound nails into their hands into the post of the stair. Yeah. So yep.
Gotcha.
So then the Daisy walked in one day as a child and saw this happening, and she was like I don't want any part of this, Dad. Like, I'm out. And he was like, no, I'll stop. So he told Johnny Nails, like, I don't want to do this at my shop anymore. And Johnny Nails was like, fine. So like then like a week later or something, Johnny Nails comes in and just pours gasoline all over him. Daisy walks in, he shoots Daisy in the stomach, and then lights her father on fire in front of her.
Okay.
So, and that's where we left off.
Ends.
Yeah, so.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, well, sort of. And we picked up, like, later in this, like, couple, it looks like
they
a
didn't go
few years down
the
road.
Yeah.
So. So yeah, I don't know. It was good. I guess it's a different type of comic that I'm used to reading for sure. So we did see her future kind of love interest or whatever. The peanut butter.
I was wondering when he was going to show up.
Yeah,
peanut butter.
The Clyde Durbani.
Peanut butter. Yeah, exactly. Yes, much better. Thank you. Yeah, he's like he's a smooth talking asshole who doesn't really care about anyone. So
is that the thug that we?
Mm-hmm. The muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The blonde hair.
The blonde hair.
Muscle. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thug. I mean, he's a bit of a thug.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. So, and we didn't get exposed to him at all in this issue, which is another thing that it's like. I'm almost glad we didn't, because they're really exposing us to Daisy, and I'm hoping they give us that kind of treatment with him as well, and really show us what kind of person he is too.
Yeah.
And I want to know, what connection does this old man that's a former police officer have to this whole story? Because in the story he talks about how he used to talk to Daisy all the time, so he knows her or knew her. We know that Daisy and her boyfriend both die at the end of this thing. So because that was like some foreshadowing in the very first issue. So I mean, yeah, overall I give it a holy though, man. A solid holy. I think it's a great book. I do. I know it's not for everyone, and I know it's kind of not what people are used to reading, but that's kind of what I like about it. Is like it's something different to break up the spandex tights that I'm always reading. So
yeah,
not that I'm always wearing. Yeah. No,
I mean, if it's comfortable, do what you do.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Well, what do you wear under the spandex? Because
nothing.
When
man.
Okay.
Go Guy Gardner like that,
Commando.
Yeah,
it's the only way.
Yeah, that's what the Green Lantern Guy Gardner does. Though he goes commando underneath his tights. It's kind of fun.
Oh, the suits aren't just.
Well, I guess they're yep.
So bulge conscious. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
It's just the way to go.
Yeah. So, what would you guys rate this one though?
I gave it a high blessing. Low holy, right in that area. It wasn't like super like, oh, this is great, but I was still pulled in from the first book, and I wanted to see where it was going to go from there after reviewing that one. So
it's funny because it's not one I would have chosen to review, but we were just starting the cast. Two of us hadn't really been reading comics, and it was like we needed a number one to start with just to get things going. I'm kind of happy I did pick it, though. I mean, it's kind of fun. So I don't know how long it's going to go for. Andrew, what did you think?
Dude, so I'm going to be honest, I failed the podcast this week because I wasn't able to read the whole book. I had some overtime and stuff, so I looked at the artwork and stuff like I do with, stuff on the shelf, so I can't really rate it this week.
If you had to rate just the artwork alone, what would you rate?
Just the artwork is worth picking up and reading.
For sure.
It's well done. I mean, I can tell just by looking at it, it's well done, so.
Okay, cool.
No doubt.
I mean, I would say the artwork is high holy.
Oh, really? That good?
But then the story is like a low blessing.
Okay, so it's still it's good. Not
so. I mean,
almost good.
I'd say like mid blessing for as a whole. Like,
that's fair.
Well, maybe high blessing because of the artwork. But yeah, it's definitely worth picking up just for the artwork for sure. And I mean, I need to read the first one, especially if we're going to keep reading it, which it sounds like we are. So maybe once I get some backstory, it'll help. And maybe, once we get the third story and get it a little bit more filled in, I suppose it'll.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important to support a book like this because it's not a Walking Dead or it's not, it's not a heavy hitter, but I do think that it's a good book. And I think, I don't know, man, I think you should support this stuff. Like if there's an artist and a writer out there that are doing this, I'll buy these before I buy DC books just because like, it's not a big corporation.
That's how I feel too.
I'm an artist, and I want to support them.
Yeah,
definitely.
I tend to do that too. Definitely.
Yeah. So I mean, the DC books, I'll buy the ones I really, really want, but like otherwise, I'll just read the digitals. So, all right, cool. So next up, we got Motor Crush #1.
Yeah.
Does anyone have the creative team on this? I can.
Yeah,
grab
I
it
do.
really quick.
It's Brendan Fletcher, Cameron Stewart, and Babs Tarr. It's the same trio that was on Batgirl Burnside.
Okay, was that a new 52 Batgirl story?
You got me there. Okay. I don't know. I actually brought the first volume with me to work. I bought it a long time ago. I meant to read it, and I still haven't read it yet.
Batgirl Burnside. That is Batgirl Volume 1.
But I was actually super stoked to read this week because I love Babs Tarr and Cameron Stewart. If you don't know their artwork, look them up.
This is good stuff.
They're awesome. They're a great team. I think actually I've read some stuff up on Babs, and this Batgirl was her first adventure into comics, I believe. Wow. I mean, she's an illustrator before, but so it's cool how they did it is that Cameron Stewart would do all like the layout stuff basically and put scenes in place, and she would kind of go in and detail them, add her own creative flair, and she did a lot. They show a bunch of breakdowns in the volume 1 of Batgirl. And it's I mean, I'm a process junkie, so I love seeing that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just cool to see them continue on in a completely different type of story. I think I tweeted this out earlier this week too, and I was just saying that the coloring in this is so cool. It just man,
I agree.
It gets me. Like the pinks and blues and greens in here are like. Just I don't know.
I just sent Dexter and Mondo a text of the Batgirl that they did.
Yeah, as soon as that issue came out with that new suit.
Nice.
That was
that was
loved that new suit.
So she designed that new suit.
Nice. Okay, I didn't know that.
It's a nice suit. I like it.
Yeah, I do too.
Well,
and
it's like the first time back, like, a superhero suit in DC like made sense, like for like real life use.
well, and that's the thing. I think a big part of it because
how do you get in there?
I was following them, and it's an actual female actually designed the suit. So like she had to think about like, well, I'm not gonna wear spandex. I'm gonna wear this like tactical jacket. Like, what is this?
The fact that it's actually like tactical and good for using to fight crime rather than like no pants at all and just in high heels and like the traditional like Wonder Woman suit like right there behind you.
Yeah.
Like there's
I'm gonna wear a bathing suit. And
granted, she's an Amazon
ridiculous.
or Amazonian or whatever, and that sure, maybe she has super tough skin. But
I'm okay. I'm okay with like ridiculous outfits and stuff too. But like, I liked her design choices. It's nice to have the other side of things too.
Yeah,
so
it's nice to have it be somewhat practical. I mean, to be fair, we are dealing with like superheroes and totally unrealistic things to begin with, but it's nice to bring it down to reality.
Well, even in movies right now, they're doing a lot of that. Like with the old Batmans. Like, remember Michael Keaton's Batman in 1989? I mean, he couldn't turn his neck.
Yeah.
Like, he would just kind of turn his whole shoulders like, no, what's going on over there? You got to turn around all the way, man. Like, but then in the newer ones, it's all tactical. It all moves. It breathes. There's linking parts, so he can get in there,
I will say, man, we're talking about a lot of DC
I know, right?
show today, but that's okay.
But it's the tie-in though, like that team.
I'm okay with it. No,
but it all comes back. It all comes back.
I'm fine with it. No, I will say though that Ben Affleck's Batsuit is my favorite live-action Batsuit ever.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason is like Frank Miller's design of the Batman suit was one of my all-time favorite designs, like with the short ears and stuff. Like that's like I don't really like the long-eared.
I don't either. Yeah.
And he's just like legit imposing. Like he's kind of big.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Oh dude, he just
as soon as he got that role, he beefed up right away.
Yeah, straight up.
And I think I've seen like height comparisons between him and the other Batmans, and he's just like huge.
Yeah, he's as tall as me. He's 6'4".
I didn't know he was that tall.
Yeah,
wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they really wanted him to tower over Henry Cavill, and like that was why they were looking for someone that towered over Henry Cavill a little, that had acting chops, and there just wasn't a lot of people that fit them.
Chops? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, come on. Ben Affleck's a great actor. I think he's my favorite Batman.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Live action Batman. Now, I will say the movies need some work storytelling wise, but I totally support what they're doing.
He's got more control for the Batman movies, at least, doesn't he?
Right.
Yeah, they're working on script and stuff. So we won't go into movies and stuff. No, that's okay.
We're all over the place today.
Moto Crush.
So Moto Crush, the same. Let me tie this back in. The Batgirl team.
Speaking of movies, words that start with M.
No, actually, so like movies, this felt like a movie to me. So let me give a quick recap. I don't have it fully written up, but so basically the main character you're following is Domino Swift, and she's races street bikes, and she's racing in the city, like a 8 million population city of Nova, and so she's both a professional racer, but to feed her professional stuff, she's like racing on the streets to score some crush, which is like their drug that like gives them focus or does something or whatever. It's not really explained here.
I still don't get it.
Is that what the inhaler is that she has?
So I think that's just her asthma.
No, it is, because you can see at the end at the very end she takes a hit and it like doesn't come out, and you see like a crystal in there.
Okay.
See there.
Not to interrupt.
I didn't.
Because that was pretty much my synopsis.
Okay.
I mean, it's just a high level synopsis, right? So like,
I didn't catch that.
There was a couple odd things. Like, I didn't get the inhaler thing until the very end, which maybe they wanted that to be, but I was just like, dude, she keeps like, I have asthma, so like I get it. Like sometimes you're about to run, like give me a little hit.
It makes complete sense now. Though it's like a bomb went off on top of my head, a mushroom cloud, because in the very first, like, with this, like, second panel or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Because when they're talking about, she's not going to break the record. She's not going to break the record. And then she breaks it. And then as soon as she gets off the bike, they're having dialogue. And then she just takes a hit of the inhaler.
Yeah.
Like,
and so
she did it because of that, probably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's interesting, too, because she's talking about how her dad is against Crush, but then she's clearly taking it right in front of him.
Yeah, and so that was the thing in the book. So basically, her dad was an old racer, right?
Yeah.
And so she is trying to like be the best racer, blah blah blah, and she's taking this Crush stuff, and she gets found out, man. Like we think so. They have a Lan is his name. He's like the mechanic or whatever, and he kind of walks in on her like, and she's like, "Did you knock? Like, come on, where's my whatever." Yeah, it's like caught it, like, you know, whatever.
How'd that go again?
Pissed off teenager. Yeah.
Dad, did you knock? Whatever. And so, you know, like, so she kind of gets caught, and then we find out, like, she goes to go get some more Crush because she has this race coming up, and turns out Mr. Mechanic shows up after she wins the race.
Yeah.
Mr. Mechanic is caught stealing, is what they say.
Or snooping around.
And
trying
so
to steal.
They shove a crystal in his mouth, make him eat it, and he just straight up explodes.
Yeah.
So, like,
So
obviously this stuff is like whatever, super high powered. And then later on in the book, she's like pissed at him, which is funny. Like, she doesn't care that he just like totally explodes. Like, she just lets it happen.
Yeah.
And then she goes to find her drugs at this dude's place, doesn't find them, and then tries to steal it from the people who put on this the non-sanctioned race or whatever.
Because it's like a mafia that kind of does those.
Yeah,
things.
exactly.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And so she kind of gets found, like, she gets caught while she's stealing her drugs back, and that's kind of where the book ends. So I mean, that's kind of like the high level overview of this,
and then like it ends on kind of a cliffhanger because she drinks some of it, like it's like, well,
is she gonna explode now? Like, that was my,
or there's
like,
gonna be some, I guarantee there's gonna be something about her physiology that makes it so like she doesn't explode.
She turns into like a superhero or something.
Something like that. Yeah, it's not
she
gonna
only
kill
took
her.
a small amount too, so it wasn't like she took the whole crystal like Lan.
Nah, it looks like she's drinking the whole. Yeah, she's
just
I mean,
like, so, man,
like she's, I mean, with so much
down the hat,
guzzle it down.
Power, or she's doing it so fast too that it's like just.
It looks like electric lemonade.
So I gotta point out, one thing that was here that really bugged me.
I want to know because you said you found a mistake.
Yeah. So the rest of it, I really loved, but like right here, there's a page. It doesn't have a number, but there's like a spread.
Page 17, I think.
Yeah. So there's a spread where they're fighting in the street race or whatever. So there's this street race, and it's totally like a road rash style. And she busts this chick in the side of the head, right? The orange bike, right? She's dead here. Well,
that's page like 15 and 16.
Yeah. Okay. So in the next, where is it?
And those are the scenes where they're standing up on the bikes and everything.
So it's different. Like on my phone, how this goes is she gets busted, and then I see this panel. On my phone, this blue-haired chick gets whipped in the face, and then she's racing right next to her.
Yeah, you gotta be careful of reading like PDFs on your phone in double splash pages because you gotta remember like sometimes you have to read the top half of one page, scroll down, read the top half of the next page, scroll back up.
It's weird though because it wasn't. I don't know how it did it because it was like. It just like rearranged. I don't know. Like it.
Yeah. No, I know how it did it.
It put it in the wrong order.
Well,
it's like I know how it did it because it happens to me all the time. Where you're like, you're supposed to read the top half.
And that's exactly how it went. Yeah.
Okay. That makes a lot more because I got confused reading that scene too. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So like, I don't know if the digital comic's gonna be that way or if it's gonna be like a full. Like, I don't know how it's gonna look.
I always tell everyone to read it in preview on a Mac or if you have a PC, read it in Adobe Acrobat. You really need to read it. You read it in 2-page view.
Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise, it's gonna be weird.
So that was my only negative, but I guess like it was just the way that I was reading it versus.
It has been debunked.
Well, and I haven't read I don't use Comixology a ton, but don't they kind of do a better job of like
paneling it out?
Yeah, they're like Kindles. Or something.
So that's what I was expecting, and that was just really weird to me. So but props to the team because how do you draw a street race? You know what I mean? Like that's difficult action to draw. I mean, it would be difficult to film. It's difficult to think about. It's difficult to follow. So
a lot of movement. This whole book is filled with movement.
Exactly what you're talking about. Same thing on the tablet.
Yeah. So there you go.
Over there and it's over there, but yeah, it's all that top part. I got you.
Yeah. So yeah, that was just strange, man. But otherwise, and there was a couple other things that I thought was really weird. So like, they have these like touch here for more info, like on the artwork, which is like kind of like, I don't know if
I think it's supposed to give it that future-y vibe where everyone has their phones out looking at things.
Yeah, that's what it felt like, is like that you're supposed to be seeing this like as if you're watching it like on a device. I don't know if that's important to the story or not, or if
probably just inside stuff like they do on movies. Sometimes you're like, oh, if you want to see how they made this scene, click this button here while they're fighting.
But like like this, you just can't like do anything like with it. You know what I mean?
It's
just like, keep tapping it.
I think the whole design of the
touching it.
Like,
why? Tell me.
I feel like I think
the
Flight of the Conchords in the future.
Oh yeah,
the year 2000. Like,
but I mean, even just like the logo and the whole vibe of the comic is kind of like the future according to the 90s.
And
I think that's just kind of like that's where that's coming from. Like that's what people in the 90s thought the future was probably going to be, just like information overload everywhere.
Yeah, and like when she gets and I like the subtle hint of futurism in this, because like there's like this floating ball R2D2 looking thing that like follows her around and does an interview all the time. But there's not a ton of like, other than that, it's pretty normal to like today, you know.
Kind of reminds me of Batman Beyond Future, like that whole their interpretation of what the future will be in Batman Beyond. So,
it's just futuristic enough, but it's not crazy or anything.
And yeah, so like the only thing with this story is that I feel like there's a very niche audience for this, because it's motor crash. Like as like not really a gearhead. Like I have a motorcycle and
do you?
Yeah, and so like cool. I love bikes and stuff like that, but I just this story revolves around racing, and I just like it's like I'm not into that stuff. So I love the art. I love a lot of stuff about it, but like I don't know if I can get into this story because of the subject.
I think like for me, I didn't get into the racing at all. Like I've never been into racing. But then like when you kind of bring in like these different gangs, so like when she's racing, there's these like 6 different gangs. It starts to feel very like Warriors-esque to me.
Yeah, and I dig that. So and that's why it'll be interesting to see where this goes, because there's a lot of avenues that they could explore. So like, I don't know how tight they're going to stay to racing, or if that's just kind of the jump point to like talk about
maybe
like,
the racing stuff is more like just the backdrop.
Side candy.
Kind of like when you're watching
the zombies for To the Walking Dead.
I was just going to say that Walking Dead, the zombies, because you tell that to somebody who doesn't like zombies, you're like, oh, I don't want to like The Walking Dead. It's I know zombies are stupid. And it's like, well, it's not about zombies. It's about the people and how they interact with each other in these situations. And the zombies are just a setting.
Yeah, and that's why I'm interested to see where they'll take it and how much time they're going to spend on racing, how much they're going to spend on these relationships, because I've really enjoyed just like learning about this world and like the gangs that live in it, and like the relationship between her and her dad, and all those types of things are cool.
Yeah.
I like that the guy with the fuzzy mask, his weapon is just a hammer.
A regular old hammer.
So each of these gang members has like something cool, and then there's just like this Muppet. He's like,
the whole gang is just Muppets.
Yeah. Oh, is it really?
Yeah, the guys behind him there. Yeah.
He just wielded.
But like they all have like goofy weapons. Like she at least has nails in her bat, or it's not even a bat. It's like a cricket bat. And then like that guy has a pitchfork. She has like a giant chain, but he just has a hammer.
Just like a short range hammer. Yeah.
It's fine. When he's done racing, he's gonna go fix some stuff. He has plans.
You know what I would really like to see is like this creative team write like the Flash. Like that would I feel like that would be kind of cool. Just because they're so good at like motion in this book, there's a lot of movement. Yeah. So I think that would be kind of cool.
Well, and it's cool because like some of the art style you'll see, like here where the girl in the orange bike crashes during the street race, like the way that Cameron and Babs decided to draw a bike, it was very just like, it's gestural, you know what I mean? So it's it's not like here's a detailed bike flipping through the air. It's like it's just here's a bunch of lines that are happening and some orange.
They have a really good use of the lettering as well. Like you kind of using the word crunch there, like
the broom.
It's not just like slapped on top.
It's like in perspective.
And it kind of it's showing the motion with the words rather than just with lines.
Yeah,
which is nice. And especially with all the motion going on. And my one complaint with that Batman book that we just looked at is that, like, to show the motion, they just repeatedly drew Batman over and over. Which I mean, and I get that, and it shows like what he's doing,
like old school Flash type stuff.
But yeah, like I feel like. I get into like this kind of art better or more where it's showing movement with like the use of the type or the lettering and the lines and and it's just showing action a little bit better in my opinion.
This is just a good example of storytelling too. This book, like the camera angles in this, like when I would take a step back and like look at these panels, like. I don't know if they did the same thing where it's Cameron kind of paneled it out, but like whoever did the panels, it's just did a really, really great job.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I enjoyed the way the panel layout's really cool. Yeah, kind of a lot of juxtaposition and stuff.
This is an awesome team. Like anything that comes out from this team, I'm gonna read.
Yeah. Same here, actually. Now that I think about it. So, what did we rate this one?
I give it a blessing. And you know. It's almost like we say this like every week, but like since this is a number one, you know, I feel like there's a lot here that could make this better, you know, just depending on what they explore. Yeah. So, but I mean, dude, the art alone, and you know, this is more. I'm more into like the animated stuff, like that style. Yep. But it's a beautiful book, man.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. Mondo, what would you rate it?
I'd agree with him on that. I'll give it a high blessing. I want to continue to read it. I'm hoping that they flesh out more with the other gangs. I thought those were pretty interesting. How they kind of like threw them up there, like almost like action cards, where they this is their name, this is their ability, this is their weapon of choice, and this is what their motto is. And you know, it's like I thought that was kind of cool how they did that. So I'm looking forward. Hopefully, those come out a little more.
Well, and it'd be nice if like maybe each issue kind of is just about like her against each gang kind of thing. Would be interesting to me.
Yeah, well, and it's funny, dude, because like she busts that dude in the face. Like one of the gangsters, she busts him like right in the back of the head with this spiked club, and then she goes to get his help towards the end of the book, like trying to figure out where her truck's went. Right. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, come on in. He's like, I'd be like, well, but they just bashed me in the back of the head.
They struck a deal that he would stop calling her that nickname if she would stop hitting him in the head. Right. Although now Cricket makes sense because she's using a cricket bat. I just realized.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
The lights came on.
Yeah.
Dexter, what would you rate?
I didn't catch that either.
I was going to give it a purgatory up until this conversation. Yeah. And I've definitely got, I mean, especially even taking more time to look at the art. I didn't have as much time this week to really give it the time I should have, I guess. Yeah. But, I mean, really sitting through it, looking at it better, talking about it, I definitely would up that to a blessing for sure. Okay. And now I'm actually looking forward to the next ones.
Yeah. That's exactly how my train of thought went, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the time, like, I'll give something a purgatory just because I'm in a pissy mood that day, or it's like the seventh comic I've read that day, and I'm just like, God, okay, let's get through this. Come on, next. But then, like, I'll have a conversation with someone about it, and I'll be like, wow, that was actually a really good book. I'm gonna, up my rating.
And that's kind of how my week went. I didn't even have time to go to the comic book store this week, and so I was a little upset about that.
Yeah. No, I didn't. I normally go there on Wednesdays, and I made it on Friday, but normally I don't. So cool. Well, I think the books were not what they seemed this week. I think we thought we had bad books maybe, but like when you talk about them a little more, you realize like, hey, this is actually a pretty cool narrative, or the artwork's actually pretty cool.
It's more times than not.
And once again, like actually getting to see it in print instead of just on my phone, it looks way nicer.
I always recommend purchasing these.
Well, and just like the weird paneling thing, like I never would have understood that if you guys wouldn't have, like if I wouldn't have been flipping through the book.
It definitely pops off the page. The color.
Yeah, image books. I always think it's better to own a physical copy of them. Just for the sheer purpose of like holding them in your hand, because they're nicely printed books. So all right, so I do want to run over next week. We have a couple choices to choose from since we kind of started heavy on books when we started this show. So next week, very excited to say, Reborn #3 comes out.
Oh,
yeah. Very, very excited for that.
That makes me very happy.
Oh, nice, does too. You know what else will make you happy, Armando, is Green Valley #3 comes out next week as well.
See, they're all coming back to me.
Yeah. Hadrian's Wall #4 comes out, which I don't know if... do you want
to... That's a story I'd like to finish. I mean, we don't have to finish it on the show, I suppose. But.
No, we can. And then there's Frontier #1, which is like... It looks like... So I'll go ahead and plug this book just because it's the #1 that comes out. Series premiere Tranquility, double-sized first issue. The planets have aligned and the prodigal son has returned. For the first time in 8 years, Jonathan Hickman from East of West, Black Monday Murders, Secret Wars, and Avengers is both writing and drawing a new comic series, Frontier. It's like Star Trek, but super depressing. I'm reading this off Comixology. Seriously, not a joke. The final Frontier is a total bummer. Each issue contains galaxy-expanding bonus content like star maps, breakdowns of alien races, interstellar factions, and detailed space schematics. Frontier is a brand new science fiction story about utopia lost and how we might just gain it back. So,
is it a parody of Star Trek being called Frontier?
No, I mean the cover looks totally
only
badass.
Thing they're missing in that is like an ad for antidepressant medicine.
Yeah, well, and dude, Jonathan Hickman, if he drew on East of West, man, like that.
Oh, it's that guy?
Yeah, East of West has some
we have to read
killer art, dude. I mean,
have you read that?
Mm-mm.
Oh
man,
it's the art alone in that is
Which
worth
one?
it. East of West.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then the fact that it's just a fantastic Western. It's like I don't know if it's the future. I think it's an alternate. Oh no, it's an alternate reality.
Yeah, something like that.
It's like an alternate timeline. Like America is basically one giant West. Wild West. But it's good. It's about the Four Horsemen.
Gotcha. Cool.
And Death kind of goes off on his own and he falls in love basically.
That
it's
cool.
It's an unbelievable book, man. Totally weird and awesome.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess next week we'll have an oversized episode. We'll do 4 books, then we'll do like what I did there. Green Valley, Hadrian's Wall, Reborn, and Frontier #1. So very excited about that. What have you guys been nerding out on this week?
As usual, man. Games.
Yeah.
Last Guardian finally dropped. That game has been in development for like 10 years plus, and so that finally came out.
Nice.
Played a little bit of that last night before I got a little tired, but I'm digging that, hoping to get deeper into that. Playing a lot more Final Fantasy. I'm fleshing out the fighting system in that, and just the thing, like, it's so good. It's the more I'm playing it, the more I'm realizing how awesome it is with all the different systems once you start really using them regularly, and the different areas you can go to and stuff, all the side missions and everything. It's good. If you get a chance to play it, I recommend you check it out.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I like to give music shout outs. I can't remember if I said this one last week, but there's this punk rock mix that I've been listening to from this dude called Captain Cuts. Okay. And this is a different one than the dude I drew for, but it's a really cool mix. It's like probably 30 minutes or so. So Captain Cuts on SoundCloud, if you look it up, it's so good. I like finding stuff to draw to, and I listen to music like literally all day. So
same.
Yeah, I'm either on podcasts or music all day.
Spotify all day.
About a 50-50
From the
mix.
car to the house to when I'm in the kitchen cooking. Spotify
good one to check out.
Very cool. Speaking of punk rock, my brother's band is the band that does the music for our podcast. It's called Giant Tiger. Check them out. They're on Spotify and music stuff. Just,
wherever music is.
Find them. Type them into your search engine of choice, I guess. Yeah.
Bing, maybe.
Yeah, not Bing.
He'll not show up.
Just type it into the old Ask Jeeves and have him go get it for you. Yeah.
Siri brought up Bing for my wife today, and she's like, "What Bing?
What is this Bing you speak of?"
Yeah. Sorry.
Where can I find it?
We don't need to rag on Bing.
Yeah.
It's like it's too late. I think you already did.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
It's happened, yeah.
No, I had such a busy week with work. I didn't my most creative thing was I got a Spider-Man mug.
I saw a picture of that.
On
buddy.
Instagram, it's huge. It's like the size of my face.
It's the same
Dude,
mug. Yeah.
Andrew is champing at the bit here.
Sorry. Because speaking of nerding out,
dude,
what happened?
Spider-Man trailer dropped.
Dude, I saw that. I retweeted it.
I'm so stoked about
looks
that.
juicy.
Yeah, me and the guys at work were kind of arguing about looking forward to it because my main problem with it, I guess this is a good thing to talk about.
No, bring us down. It's okay.
Is I think there's too much Tony Stark.
Yeah.
I can
agree with that.
I like
agree.
it though because
I
I
like
think
him.
it also feeds in because like this is the first story where they kind of bring him in as a kid. Like they're trying to make him look like
He's
a kid.
literally 16.
Yeah, and
I'm
he
really looking forward to that.
And I think it's cool to show like
Like
dude,
a
this dude's
mentor.
16. Like he needs a mentor.
Well,
like
it's
how
the
did he
first-
learn this?
It's the first time we've ever gotten to see like a member of the Marvel family interact with Spider-Man, you know? So
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah,
pretty
exactly.
big it's a pretty
Yeah.
big deal like that
yeah.
the movie is called Homecoming and he's literally coming home to Marvel. I know that's not why it's called Homecoming,
It's
but
because
like,
there's a homecoming dance. I assume.
yeah, but you know,
He has no date. He has to find somebody.
Yeah.
Mary Jane.
But that's the thing too, though. If you look at it, like what other Marvel characters have they made a movie about that they're kids basically, or a kid?
Yeah.
I can't think of anybody. They're all adults already.
Well,
they're
and
doing Runaways.
I haven't seen it, but was the Apocalypse movie? Weren't the X-Men kids?
Oh yeah, some of them. Yeah, they're high schoolers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and originally the X-Men were high schoolers.
Right.
Pissed me off,
Okay, I
man. They
guess that's
took
the only
my
one.
very favorite scene out of that movie. It
Which
was-
one?
Oh, it was like there was this deleted scene of all the X-Men hanging out at the mall and like
Oh, yeah.
at the arcade and stuff, and it's like, are you kidding? Like that's exactly what I remember the X-Men
Yeah.
being as a kid was like
Yeah.
hanging out at the mall and the arcade, and
Yeah.
like you took away that scene. Like it was such a cool scene. They had like what's that safety dance song over the scene
You
too.
can dance if you want.
Yeah,
to.
yeah, they had that. I think that's what they had over it, or something similar to that, like '80s song. But man, that would have been cool. So,
Well, and they picked
Yeah.
up like a record that was like the Dazzler, or was it like
Jubilee or somebody?
No. Like there's an X-Men member. I think it was Dazzler, who's like a pop star.
Dazzler. Holy cow.
She's like always on roller skates.
They took your name, Andrew.
Dazzler.
But I think
that's your new nickname now, Andrew.
He pulls off his cape. I shall dazzle you with magic.
I do
He
glitter
drops
in
all
your
the
face.
cards.
Bam.
Yeah, just blow glitter in people's eyes all the time.
oh yeah.
Those are fighting glitters right there.
Dazzled.
But then at
You've been
Comic-Con, they took like some guy who did like kind of, it looked like a painting of Dazzler for like, and it was from a comic, and so like Marvel owned it, but they made that into the record, like the cover for her record, without the artist knowing.
What?
And he was pissed.
Oh wow!
He went off on some blog posts.
I'm looking this up now.
He went on some glitter rampage.
Yeah, like I guess he
Yeah.
almost went over to the Marvel booth where they're like handing them out, because like I think a couple people recognized it as his art and came over to get him to sign it, and
He's like,
It's like what?
and like
So he didn't even know ahead of time.
yeah, no, they
Like,
didn't
on
tell
the
him.
fly, he finds
and,
out.
Yeah, like somebody's like asking for his autograph on it, and he's like, "What?"
That's no
Dude, I had
Yeah.
that kind of happen to me one time.
That's no good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
like there was
How'd you handle
some
it?
people. Oh, dude, I was very polite and raging on the inside.
Yeah.
well, because it wasn't. It was like some people I kind of worked with before, and they were going to another company they were trying to start up, and I went in to like interview for this position, and it was just really weird. Like, and so like they hand me like some info about it, and they're like showing like games we've worked on or whatever, and it's like all of my art, and like dude, I was like, and they're like kind of like disorganized, and they're like talking to me, and I was like, and they're like, yeah, tell me about you, and I'm like, well, I did everything that's on here. What? Like the front of your brochure here that you're handing out.
And then you got
What
hired.
did they say?
yeah.
Dang.
And then he's like, oh yeah, oh. Like, I don't know. It was just like
What can you say?
it was just like
Yeah.
like you're done.
yeah, and it was something where it was just like, you know, I had been working with a company when I did that, and somebody
Yeah.
from that company went over, so like I get it, but it's still like, you mean, at least talk to me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Slap in the face.
I did all that stuff, you know, and so it felt really dirty to me.
Yeah,
And,
that's messed up.
yeah, it was messed
Holy
up.
cow! Wow.
But you know, I
Man.
pushed past it because you
Yeah.
know, at
What are you
the
gonna
end of
do?
the day, it doesn't really matter, and I'm gonna just create something better anyway.
better
so.
and all more cool. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
for
if
sure.
if they would have had like $1 million enterprise, I would have like, you know, taken them to court or something.
yeah, well, yeah. Sounds like it was very much not that. That
yeah,
was-
no,
yeah.
just like whatever.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
cool. I've been reading a lot of comics, man. DC is just killing it lately. I mean, like, holy cow! There's just some good books right now. You guys should.
Yeah,
I
pick
want
up.
to catch up
I
so
listen-
bad.
I listened to you should listen to the DC podcast.
I mean,
Yeah,
I do at
we
work.
get into good
Well, you go.
conversations
All at
on
my
that
desk,
one. Yeah,
like droning out.
Well, the one that you put out yesterday, yeah, it sounds like there's a ton of good books that came out this week.
yeah, there
Sounds
was.
exciting.
We talked Cyborg. He found a girlfriend. A lot of
Did he?
cyber sex jokes that we made.
Did
so.
he find a girlfriend?
Or did he? I don't know. Listen to the show and you'll find out. So, yeah, it was a good show though. So, you know what else is good? Our
What's that?
Patreon
Knew it.
site.
Boom! Look at that segue.
Yeah.
I like it now.
I'm a little tired. Yes, that segue needed some work. But,
that wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
Good Patreon. Good. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, you can donate money to us at patreon.com. We do have like hosting costs and equipment costs, and we're always trying to think up new ways to put out like new content for everyone. We want to start a video game channel. We'd love to start which Mondo, we're actually working with Mondo on. We also want to start a channel where we talk about movies and TV. We want to get into like maybe some other type stuff like design, maybe talking design and music and stuff like that. Just anything you can nerd out on, really. We'd like to start channels for that. But in order to do that, we need to, kind of build it into a business. So, if you are so kind to donate to us, we certainly appreciate that. It's located at patreon.com/nerdchurchradio. And if you don't donate to us and you just like listening to us, that's cool too, because we just love the fact that people enjoy listening to our show. So
hell yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So other than that, I know I had a list here. Oh yeah. Okay, so we are looking for writers to do written reviews of our Image comic books. So if anyone wants to write reviews of the Image comics, please get in touch with me, nerdchurchradio@gmail.com. I will provide the comic books to you. You'll get them a little early, so you won't. You'll have time to write the reviews. Just send me your resumes or like anything you've worked on as far as writing reviews and stuff like that. We are also starting a comic book history show next month. We're going to do a monthly show about the history of comic books. We're going to be starting in the 30s and 40s, and then the next month it'll be like 50 to 55 or 50 to 60, something like that, and just work our way up.
That's cool.
So yeah, and then we got a few more announcements coming for the beginning of 2017. So did you guys have anything else you wanted to bring up on the show?
You want to bring up mine?
Yeah, Indie Comic Ninja.
Indie Comic Ninja is joining?
Yeah, we're going to kind of bring that up when the network sort of started. But yeah, we're getting into we're building NCR into a network of podcasts now, so it's going to be like every channel will have kind of its own name, and then NCR will be the network that sort of supports all those shows or that brings all of them together. Indie Comic Ninja is joining the NCR network, which is going to be really cool. So, and then we're bringing some other ones on too. So, more to come on that. If you want to find us, just type Nerd Church Radio into your search engine somewhere, and we'll come up not maybe, Bing, I guess.
Maybe Google.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Your phone will explode.
You're gonna get an angry email from Bing.
You're still hot
Come on, Bing doesn't listen to
Bing's
us.
gonna knock on Dexter's door.
They won't be able to use email anyway, so they'll just get lost, right?
I bet Bing is the Illuminati.
Maybe. Let's put a pin in that one. Just come back to it later. All right. But yeah, nerdchurchradio.com, Facebook at Nerd Church Radio, Twitter, Instagram, pretty much every social media platform. Mondo, where can we find you?
At Nerdy Romondo on Instagram and also on Twitter.
Wonderful. Andrew?
You can find me at Andrew Southern on Twitter and Instagram.
Cool. Dex?
Indie Comic Ninja, everywhere.
Awesome. Cool. And with that,
not the everywhere.
But not the everywhere.
Oh, also, if you want to game with me, hit me up at Dirty Dimes on PlayStation Network and also on Xbox Live. Let's do it.
Awesome. Yeah, and there's going to be a pretty awesome gaming show coming up here in the next month.
So geeked for that.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and sign us off. I will say peace be with you.
And with you.
And have a great week, everyone.